Hey everyone, thanks for clicking this video. Before we dive in, I kind of want to set the tone and let you know what this presentation was. So this is a recorded video that I did, and it was a book launch for my new ebook on the 8 Healing Essentials. It's essentially a start here kind of place if you're first starting your healing journey. But make sure to watch this presentation throughout the whole thing because I break down ways to process stress in real time. And if you know us, you know that we help people. That's exactly what we do here in Rev. We help people process stress that has held on to our body, whether it was past, physical stress, mental, emotional, all those different things. They tend to store and get stuck in our body as patterns of tension, and we help people move through that in this practice. So I wanted to provide some tools to, hey, next time challenges come, do I have the right tools to be able to move through that in a much healthier way, in a real-time way? So that's what we dive into mostly in this presentation. I hope you enjoy. So tonight is a culmination of quite a few things. My biggest thing is I want to provide as much value as possible. And in the midst of doing that, what happened was a book. And as I was preparing this presentation, I was like, did I accidentally write another book? There's just so much information that I've wanted to share with you guys. And so most of you know Rev, maybe know who I am. If not, hello, welcome. I'm Lauren, Dr. Lauren. I am a chiropractor here in Chattanooga. If you know about us, we'll dive into Rev and what we do a little bit later. But yeah, I've been able to work with people over the last 5 years or so, help people feel more whole, feel better, feel healthy. And I find that, things can be a little overwhelming when it comes to health. They either don't know where to start, or you feel like you're just too far down the road and you don't think that you're able to thrive. And what I've seen firsthand in our practice is that is not true. You are so ready and able to thrive. I just feel like you need the right tools in order to do that. And so it's been such a blessing to be able to support people in the work that I do. And I want to provide you with even more tools. So we're going to dive into that tonight. This is also my book launch. I wrote a little ebook. Again, shout out to Kelly Cohn. She helped me make it look beautiful. But it's on the 8 Healing Essentials. We'll dive into that a little bit, but tonight I want to give you a little bit more of a bonus and really, like I said, give you as many tools as possible. So that's why the title is Tools Beyond the Table, and to learn to nurture the healer within. We'll dive into what all that means. Okay, so tonight what we're going to cover is, I could list a bunch of things, but really overall, my intention for you tonight is to provide tools to empower your healing journey. So I really want to get away from the model of like, hey, you're broken, here's this XYZ, whatever modality, and that's going to fix you. I really feel like that is necessary at times, but I want you to feel empowered. You know what? I can make the right choices for my own body. And if I learn how to listen, if I know the tools that I have, we can do better basically in our life and with our health. But a lot of times we just don't know what to do. We're not living in a world right now where information is at a minimum. If you want to learn about something, it's out there. And I think there's so much information overload that it can be really overwhelming. And so I just in my nature like to go back to simplicity and to keep it simple with tools. And so that's what I want to provide for you all. So the ebook that we're going to get into a little bit later, I just wanted a nice condensed all in one place to be like, I don't know where the heck to start here. It's really set up for that way. And then the empower piece this is my favorite thing in working with people. When they start to feel better, it's not, and they'll thank us, and I'll immediately say, it's not me, it's you. It's your body that can heal. Whenever you're going through something and you're on the other side of it, that's such a beautiful thing to know. And it's empowering. It's like, hey, I have this amazing capability to heal within me. And I hope that we can just learn to nurture more of that. The changes will be much more long lasting if that's the case. So what inspired this book? Look at this beautiful cover here. Shout out to Kelly again. So what inspired this book? Again, working with clients over the last 5 years or so, if basically everything I've wanted to share with him is condensed into this little ebook. Here's what I saw, and here's where what need I saw. So people would come into Rev, into our practice. Again, we'll share more about that in a little bit, but they'll come in for care. Typically, when people come in, they're not feeling awesome. They have something going on, some kind of symptom, some, chronic, could be a chronic disease. It could be constant anxiety, stress, overwhelm, things like that. And they start getting care. We go through a nervous system regulation process. They start to feel a little bit better. And then they say, Doc, I feel good. What else can I do? And again, I love that question as well, because once you remember, like, oh, I can breathe again, you feel better, you want to continue to do that. And that's when I mentioned again, that's like, it's so overwhelming out there. I feel like you don't know where to start, what's going to be right for you. And I wanted just to provide something that this is a 101 kind of information in this book. Like, if you don't know where to start, I think everything is really easy to use, and it's not meant to be implemented all at once, but something you can always go back to and slowly implement, and you'll see changes in your life. So that's what inspired the book. And again, before we dive super deep, we're going to get into some fun stuff tonight. But if you're new to Rev, maybe you haven't heard about us, maybe you have, maybe you're under care, most of you have. But this is Rev. We're a family practice. That's me, my wife, Erica, my brother, Matt, my sister-in-law, his wife, Dr. Monica, Monica's sister, Steffi, and Steffi is married to Dr. Brian. So there'll be a quiz on that at the end if you don't already know. But yeah, so we're a family practice, and what we focus on here in Chattanooga is helping people process stress. If you're under care, you've probably heard that many times. But really what that means is, we have stressful experiences in life, and sometimes we don't process them really well, and our body holds on to it, and we don't feel as great. And so we guide people through this nervous system regulation process, and that helps get them more ease and more balance because we're able to process things like that. And so, yeah, family practice is what we do. Breathwork classes. We have some breathwork classes by Matt and Erica, Monica help with that. And then some educational classes when we can. And the main thing about us, and I always tell this, especially if you're looking for other healing practitioners, is, what do they believe? And something that we believe is that your body has an amazing innate ability to self-heal. Some people hear that and like, well, why the heck do I feel so bad? It's because we're not nurturing that healer within, right? But at the end of the day, your body is always working for you. It is wanting to help you. But maybe along the way, we never learned the right tools, or we're not giving it the right environment to thrive, to feel the way that our God-given right to feel, of that true health and vitality. But at the end of the day, it's your body that is way more intelligent than any doctor, any person on this planet. And so the more we can tune in, the more we can learn from it and give it what it needs, that's where I see true change and growth. And so with this way of healing, again, a lot of people may know us, most of you do, but I just want to share a little bit about why I at least landed in this form of healing. And, we are chiropractors. If you have experienced an adjustment by us, or you've heard about an adjustment, we're a little bit different. We don't do the traditional crack and pop kind of chiropractic. I learned that in school, and we for sure have that tool in our back pocket. But something that, as I was learning this, it's like there was something that it wasn't enough for me. And so, in school, you learn bones out of alignment, we put it back, we pop it back in, body functions better, because the spine is so important, because it houses that spinal cord, that peripheral nerve. It's our nervous system. It's where everything stems from. And so I was totally on board with that. Like, cool, like I'm all about it. But then what would happen next is bones goes out again, and then we have to put it back, and then it goes out, and then we have to put it back, and this whole back and forth thing that I was like, yeah, this is cool, but I feel like there's something a little bit deeper. Like I feel like we can help people on a deeper level. And I was very blessed to come across this technique in school that is a little bit different. And it looks at the body and of how we hold tension to begin with. And that it turns out when you break all of these systems down, right, you're not just bones walking around. You have muscles and fascia and ligaments and organs and tissues and cells, and those cells are made up of atoms, and the atoms are broken down into subatomic particles, and there's energy. Like that's where it's at. I learned that everything is energy. And so when we can make change from the deepest place, I'd argue, of energy, things tend to be more long lasting. And I think a lot of people have heard that in the form of like, oh yeah, everything is energy. And I kind of want to break the cycle of that being like woo woo, because we all know, we all live in this world that is full of energy. I think, again, we all learned in high school what an atom is, and when that everything's made up of atoms, and, you know, we have certain frequencies and vibrations. And I don't want to get into quantum physics tonight, but overall, I think it's important to know that everything is energy. So if that's the case, if every single thing in this world is energy, then maybe let's learn how to change using our energy, right? We have ways to do that, and we're going to dive into that a little bit tonight. But, you know, example that I use, and if you've sat down with me, I've probably said this example before, but, you know, I remember the first time that someone called me a bad word. She called me the B word. I was like in 6th grade, right? It's like my first time ever being called like a bad name. And I remember that she called me that, and I was like, oh, like I felt it in my body, just this like uncomfortable feeling. And it's not like she punched me in the face, right? But she said a word, and my nervous system perceived that as uncomfortable. That word and that tone was an energy coming into my energy, right? So that's a micro example of every single moment those things are happening. And whether or not my energy or my nervous system is adaptable to those environments really depends and determines our health. Are we adaptable to something that happened? Did we not perceive it really well? And then it got stored and stuck in our system. And then those things build up. Again, I don't believe we ever learned the way to move through stress. And so, again, that's my intention here. We're about to get into. So to break this down even further, right? Here's what happens, right? We have this perceived stressful experience. And I say perceived because it's true. You probably have heard of, you know, two like siblings growing up in the same environment, but one person maybe feels a little more traumatized than the other. They had the same experience, but one, maybe depending on where their nervous system was at, their perception of it was a little bit different, and they perceived it as stress. Nothing wrong with that. That's just another example of like, okay, like one thing can happen, people can perceive it in different ways. But in general, right, you have a perceived stressful experience, whether it's something really difficult like a breakup, something physical stressful like a car accident, a betrayal, financial hardship, tough childhood, micro stressors on a daily basis. Basically, we have this stressful experience come into our system. And then what happens, we don't know how to handle it. Maybe we say it feels like too much, or we disassociate because it's like, oh, I don't know how to handle that. We ignore it. We distract ourselves. We maybe replay the event over and over and over. Or worse, we identify with it. Like, hey, this thing happened to me, and that, you know, like, it's just, and we hold on to it for the rest of our life sometimes. And then we store it in our body. Again, knowing that everything is energy, you know, we have this energetic experience come into our energy, and it doesn't go away, right? It has to go somewhere. And really quickly too, again, not to get into the quantum physics, but we have an experience, and I believe we have experiences to learn and grow. Like if you touch something hot, now I know that was a painful experience, but now that's information that I now know to not touch that hot thing, right? So if we look at it in that way, the experience comes in. If I didn't learn from it, if I perceived it as being too much, I put it away. I don't know how to handle it. And then so we store it in our body. You may have heard of the book, The Body Keeps Score. Even if you haven't heard of the book, it's pretty much the title, right? Like you understand, like you went through something and maybe on the other side, you're a little bit different, right? We store it in our body. We feel jaded. Maybe we feel tired. We feel hopeless, heavy. Worst of all, I feel as we lose our sense of self. We lose that essence of who we are. I truly believe we're all beautiful human beings and souls, but when we have experiences and it we don't process them, we lose that sense of our essence and ourself. And also physical symptoms begin to manifest. So what do we do? What can we do about this? One, we can learn to process life in real time and in a healthier way. Like something happens, what can I do to help process it in real time? We can learn to use our body to harness that health within. It's difficult to change just using your mind. Like, I think we all have had an experience of, trying to quit a habit by thinking your way out of it. It's really hard. But there's like a hack that if you can get your body involved, it makes it a lot easier. For the most part, your body's running the show. Whenever you're like driving, you're like, how the heck did I get here? Like I totally like your consciousness was somewhere else, but your body's like, it knows these deep patterns, right? And so if you want to make a change, it's really hard to do it just from your mind or your thoughts, but how can we use our body to create change? And this is a big one. I don't have a very loud voice. If I did, I would shout this from the rooftops for everyone to hear, to know that your current state does not have to be permanent. This is huge. And I know this firsthand. So many people come in to Rev and they say things like, you know what, I've just gotten used to this. I've just gotten used to this thing in my life and I just learned how to deal with it. And I can't take that. I won't. I know that there's a way out. Maybe we just don't know what to do, right? We don't have the right support or, basically our bodies are so adaptable. We just need to give it the right environment and the right tools to help you change. And you can even look back probably in your own life when you were going through something really difficult and, you got through it. And I bet at that time you're like, oh, it's going to be like this forever. And that's not the case. We're so much more adaptable than we give ourselves credit for. Another thing we do is tune into our body with healing practices, just learning how to tune into this vehicle. It's so important. And again, just nurturing that intelligence within. And so something I talk about a lot, and it's inner environment versus your external environment. So your inner environment is basically like behind your eyes, your consciousness, right, of how you view the world. Like that, where you live is here. Your external environment is on the outside, car driving by, experiences that are happening outside of you. Which do you think you have maybe more control of? Right, our inner experience. That is such a place that we all, especially people who like to control or whatever the case is, we want to control our external environment. That is so disempowering, right? Because now if my inner environment is dictated based on what happens on the outside, which is anything, like anything could happen on the outside. And if I'm not in my power, if I'm not clear within, that's just going to take me over, right? And so this is just something to, again, kind of to plant the seed of like, where can I spend time changing? Do I need to spend time changing things on the outside to help me feel better on the inside? Or is it going to be easier to help me change on the inside? And I think overall, again, the fact that you guys all showed up here tonight, you're already doing it. You're taking that radical responsibility for your inner environment. You want to learn, what to do. And so I have it down the bottom too. Like, it's not about what's out there. It's how you respond to it. So this is, again, just a way to plant the seed of, looking at it in this way of being more mindful of you know, hey, like, let me check in, let me tune up my inner environment. And again, we'll learn tools on how to do that. So this is a quote that I saw like literally an hour ago, and I threw it up here on the podcast or on the podcast, on the PowerPoint. And in case you can't read it, if you're driving, I'll just read it. You're always on your way somewhere. The key is find a way to be happy wherever you now are on your way to where you really want to be. We're speaking of the state of being you want. It does not matter where you are. Where you are is shifting constantly, but you must turn your attention to where you want to go. And that's the difference between making the best of something and making the worst of something. We always have this opportunity. And again, I'm not perfect. Like, I have not figured this out. I don't think anyone has, but I have a place to and tools to dip into, to practice. And so this is such a big thing that I see is, you know, people feeling stuck. And it's like, well, where are you looking, right? Where can we shift to? And again, we'll be diving into that. And yeah, just to touch on that as well, there is no, I have an asterisk here literally because when I first started my healing journey, like intentionally learning about self-growth and self-development, I really wish someone told me this. So I had to put it in here for you guys tonight. But there is no finish line of perfect health. Like, you don't ever arrive and nothing bothers you, or you never feel uncomfortable, or you know what I mean? Like, and as at times that's frustrating to acknowledge, but also I think it'd be kind of boring, right? If we just like always felt great and had no hardships and no things to learn. But again, I just want to kind of asterisk that of like, it's not that you'll complete this place of like, okay, now I'm good, but something that will happen, something that will change is the way that you move through life. It's not like life is going to stop lifing, right? It's always going to have something in it, but the way that you can move through it, you can live with more ease and adaptability. Like, maybe before, and I see this all the time, working with clients and with myself, something that happened that in the past would have taken me months to move on from, now it's taking me days, right? It looks like that. Maybe something that my mind would have like freaking taken off on, I can catch it faster. You know, I can shift it faster. So I needed to put that out there because I wish someone told me that too, because so many times I'm like, oh, I've learned that lesson. And then it comes again. And it's like, it's a constant thing, but you have more space for more ease and more happiness as you grow. Give me 1 second. Okay. So again, the book. I'm not going to dive super deep into the book tonight because you guys are going to have access to that tonight. It'll be ready for you guys to download. And again, look at this book as like a start here. I really feel like I sifted through really important topics and places to start. And I think this would be like, that was my intention for the book. I think it's really valuable. And it's a bit of a 101. Like, whether you're on your healing journey and you just want to like have a toolbox to check in and make sure you're on track, or you're just getting started and you're like, I don't know what the heck to do. Goes over like movement and nutrition and mindset and a bunch of other awesome stuff. But tonight, while I have you here, I want to talk about something I'm really excited about. So, fun fact, the 8 Healing Essentials wasn't what I set out to do. I set out to share with you what I'm going to share tonight, but I didn't want to run before we walk. So the 8 Healing Essentials is a walk, learn the foundations, the fundamentals. Tonight, I'm going to dip your toes into a bit of a 201 class. So like I said, right, in Rev, we help people process stress, past stressors, current stressors. They get stored in our body. We do nervous system regulation, body work to help ease, to help process that, so that more of that intelligence, more of that healing can increase. But if we don't learn how to process stress ourselves, moving forward, it's not going to be as productive, right? I like to think I'm very efficient. I think my mom's on the call. Thank you, mom. I think I got that from you. It's like, you see the fluff, like, get out of here. We gotta like, what can we do about it, right? I feel like I don't want to also be part of, like a downstream form of providing support for people. And so I want to, again, empower you with tools of like, okay, when stress is happening, what can I do in the moment, in the real time? So that's what we're going to dive into tonight. I'm so excited for this one. All right. So I've called this the holistic blueprint. Holistic, it's used for like a lot of different ways. I remember I was in chiropractic school and I met a friend, or I met with a friend from like high school, and I was just telling her the things I was learning. She's like, so are you like holistic? I was like, sure. Really, holistic just means looking at the entirety, right? Looking at, we're not just physical bodies, right? We have a mind and a body and a soul and this whole symbiotic experience, like it's a consciousness that we're moving through life with. So looking at it as the whole, and how does the whole move through life? And so, the holistic blueprint, and it's a way to process stress in real time. So again, we're going to circle back to it, right? Perceived stressful experience. You saw what we've learned to do maybe. Now let's change the narrative, okay? So now this time I got tools, all right? Perceived stressful experience. I'm going to go through this step by step, and then we'll dive into it a little bit deeper. So I have a perceived stressful experience. Number one is awareness. To practice awareness. If I'm not aware, how the heck can I change? Right? If I have no idea what's going on, and I'm just like, again, the body's running the show, like, how can I ever make a change? I actually was having lunch with a friend recently, and I was just like, we're just talking, and she's like, oh, I'm so stupid. And she kept saying like, oh, I'm so dumb. I'm so stupid. And I had to be like, hey, sorry, why do you keep calling yourself stupid? Like, you're my friend. Like, don't do that to yourself. Like, don't talk to yourself like that. And she's like, oh my gosh, like I didn't realize that I do that. And I think that's a lot of us fall in that category of, we're saying, maybe especially if we get on like a negative thought pattern of like, oh, that sucks. Like we're just used to not seeing good things, and we're just like being negative, or whatever the case is. To know where your mind is going, to know how you're responding. If you don't know, if you're not aware, how the heck can you make a change? So number one is awareness. Number two is presence. Remember in the other model, a tendency when we felt something was stressful, we avoid or ignore. Presence is going to help transmute the energy, to sit with it, right? Rather than avoid, because when you avoid, you're not actually avoiding. Like that energetic experience still happened, right? But can we be present with it? Be strong and be present with it. And then the third is to shift. So we're aware, we're present. Now, how can I use my energy, my body, my physicality, my mind, whatever, to shift, to move, to do something different? That's how patterns are created, right? We have an experience, and then we have another one, and then another one, and we don't do anything different, right? We just hold on to it and hold on to it. And then we're like, why is my life like this? I'm like, well, you're not changing. You're not shifting. You're not moving that energy around. So the next one is shift. And then the last one is R&R. Almost like regular R&R, but this stands for relax and release. Relax and release. And so now we're aware, we're present, we're shifting, and now it's a letting go. And I think that this one's my favorite. It's the most simple and the most difficult, if that makes sense. It's like, yeah, just let it go. Like, it's hard, but there are tools and there's ways to do it, again, if you're conscious of it. Okay, so awareness. as you practice becoming aware, it's important to do it without judgment. So, like I mentioned with my friend who was calling herself stupid. And I was like, hey, like, you know that you do that a lot? And she's like, oh, don't judge that. Once you become aware of something that you're doing, honestly, celebrate it. Like, oh, good to know, right? It's information. Just look at it as information. We can't judge it, because then it's like a whole cycle. And again, trust me, I know this. I used to be very hard on myself, very hard on myself. I played sports. I played baseball and softball. And in that sport, you strike out a lot and it sucks. It sucks. It's so hard. And what sucks about it the most is that you have about 25 minutes until your next at bat. So you're just thinking about how you struck out, and the mind chatter will just go on. And it wasn't until I was later in life, that one day I did something. I was like, oh, I should have been better at that. And then I'm like, I caught myself. I was aware going down this cycle of like, oh, Lauren, anytime you do that, it actually doesn't help. Like, me being hard on myself literally does nothing. And instead of learning from that thing that I perceived as I didn't do well, like I don't, because I'm so busy giving myself a hard time, right? Rather than, ooh, I don't like how I handled that. Okay, what can I learn? What can I learn from that? I want to do better. It's uncomfortable still, right? I'm like, oh, okay, what can I learn from that? So it's a micro change, but it's really, really key. It's really, really important. So become aware and don't let the judgment voice go. All right, this one's for you, Sue. If you know me, you know I love this one too. I love to say interesting. So this is in use in replacement of judging something immediately. So like, oh, that food's gross. Like that's a bad shit. Like, I'm never coming back here. Like, whatever. I'm just like, interesting. This flavor is interesting. See how that just stops the momentum, right? It's just like, interesting. It neutralizes a potential emotion that could have really taken you off. But now you pause, saying interesting, and you can do it in conversation too, right? Especially if you're around people who are just kind of like gossiping, or if they're negative, just like, oh, interesting. And that gives you a second to kind of recalibrate and really be intentional with what you say next, or how you respond, or even how you think about it. One of my favorites. I love interesting. Okay. So another way to help become aware is, like we said, if you don't know that you're going out and looking for bad in the world, then you don't know. You're going to keep doing it. So another tool you can use to have in your back pocket is, we have what's called a reticular activating system in our brain. Basically, it's AKA seek and find mechanism. So basically, what you're looking for, you will find. So if you're going out looking for bad, looking for anxiety, looking for worry, something to worry about, something to be afraid about, you will find it. But if you're looking for the good, you will also find that too. So it's just a simple little, again, another little brain hack to tell yourself, like, see the good, see the good. I like these short little quotes because it's just like, it's like easy to have and easy to implement in my day. So again, another important thing when practicing awareness is just practice being the observer. And so instead of like, oh, this thing happened to me, I like to, the way I talk about it is like giving yourself a little bit of space and observe as if that was happening, maybe even to someone else. Like, just like, you kind of step back, and that neutralizes when we're so in our experience, sometimes it's really muddled and it's hard to see. But if you become the observer, right? Again, this is all a practice. These are just little tools that I want to share with you guys. But for example, again, easier said than done, but I have seen change with this. Looking at pain as a stimulus. If you notice, if you know us, especially the crew and Rev, rarely do we say, I'm sick. I don't identify with that. If I'm feeling symptoms, at first especially in chiropractic school, I thought this was so annoying. No one would say they're sick. I might just say that you are, but I get it. Like I get it now, right? Not labeling with it, becoming one with it. Give it a little space of like, oh, my body is going through a little immune thing here, a little immunity. This is what I say. But my body's processing something, or like I have a physical pain, like, ooh, just like tap into the stimulus and notice that you want to name it. You want to judge it. You want to get rid of it. You want to do something with it. Try just sitting with it, just observing it. Because again, like our body is communicating with us always. So it's just a form of communication. So just practicing being the observer. And the last one is bringing love to whatever you're aware about. Once you become aware, can you bring love to this part of you? So a lot of times I see, especially chatting with people, they're like, oh, I had this thing, and maybe they don't like it about themselves. They're like, I just want to like, oh, get rid of it. Like, I want to just like push it away. And the example that I use is like, imagine whatever you're feeling. Imagine a 5-year-old was feeling the same thing you're feeling. What do you do with that 5-year-old? You don't say, ugh, get away from me. You bring it in, right? You bring them in close, and you that's a form of love, right? And I truly feel that, the love that we have within that we express to others, why can't we feel that as well? Sometimes it's a little bit harder for people to like feel that love with yourself as well. So again, just a little planting of the seed of, if you notice or you're like, oh, like I don't like this part of me, like imagine if you brought love into it. It's another way to help neutralize whatever you're going through. Okay. Second one is presence. So we're aware. Arguably, this is maybe the more challenging one, to be present with it. I think we all are like, yes, be present. Like it's it's hard to do. It's harder than it sounds. Okay, so a way that I love to be present, it's called central channel breathing. So we're gonna do that all together here, just so you can feel what I'm talking about. Let me see here if I can lift this up so you can see me. Okay, so central channel breathing, it sounds like exactly what it sounds like. You're gonna imagine from the top of your head all the way down to the bottom of like your tailbone, just this cord. Obviously, we're going through the spine, right? The spine is our life force, and it's a great way to tap in. So what we're going to do is, starting from the top of the head, from above the head, imagine like a straw, like a channel, inhaling, and you're feeling the awareness from the top of your head, behind your eyes, behind your neck, down your chest, and mid like diaphragm. And on the exhale, we're going to keep going down to your belly, abdomen, pelvis, tailbone, out towards your feet. And then back up from our feet up, inhale, up our feet, low back, belly, mid chest or diaphragm, and then exhale out the chest, neck, face, head. So you kind of get the path of that. Let's do that again. So inhale from the top, kind of like bringing in air through a straw as you get to the diaphragm. Exhale and release. And one more time, back up from our feet, inhaling, and then exhale, starting at our diaphragm and up. So I hope that you got the feel of that. I'm working on doing a video to break it down even more. So I learned about this through Dr. Sue Morter. She has an awesome book called The Energy Codes. But what I love about it is I was listening to her do a presentation on this, and someone asked, so like, how often do you do this? And like, how many times a day and for how long? And she's like, I'm doing it right now. So I love this one because I can be like, let's say you're in like literally in a moment that you're uncomfortable. You feel maybe anxiety or like physical pain or just overwhelmed, or you're just like not really loving the experience you're having. A great way to stay present is using that breath up, out, and just tapping into that central channel. So yeah, staying present is all about getting back into our body, back into our, how I mentioned before, how it's hard to make a change just from your mind. Let's get your body involved. And so we can do this through our breath and just the body awareness, right? Like it's our mind that can really take off. So anything that's going to bring us back to our body. And another great way I like to do that is through your senses. Like all we have is this sensory experience. Like we would not be here and understanding each other right now if you couldn't see, if you couldn't hear, right? And so we always have that with us. We can always touch. We can always smell, see, hear, taste. And so this is another great little tool to help you stay in the present moment. If you tune into just your senses, just your sensory experience as a human, the mind chatter will diminish because that's not a sense. That's just your mind. And so getting back into your body using the five senses. So again, it's something that you can do like when you're driving. It's just so easy to remember to like constantly be practicing these things. And yeah, becoming curious. It's just like, I don't know if everyone would like that, but I like to just be like, it's another way to neutralize a situation of just like, curious without having to figure it out. I have to say that too. Without like, oh, well, I wonder because of that, because this, and they did that over there. Like, just like, interesting again. And just being curious about what you're experiencing. Like, if you listen to a bird, just be like, I wonder what kind of bird that is, right? Like let those little light thoughts come. Okay. And then the third, shift. So we're aware, we're present. Now what can we do to shift the energy? So a great way to do it is interrupting patterns. Eric and I do this often where basically the indicator for us is if we're complaining about something for a little bit too long, maybe it's over a span of a few days or a few weeks, and one of us catches us being like, whoa, let's change it up, right? And so we just literally do things different, not even about what we were talking about, but just, maybe we have coffee on the porch, maybe we'll have coffee like in another area, or wearing different clothes, or having different conversations, just anything to break a pattern. Because again, your body is just wanting to crave that sameness, right? That like every single time. So if you put your body in another environment, another situation, then you won't hold on to those things as much. Another way is active breath. So the central channel breathing isn't really an active breath. That's just a way to connect. Active breath is more intense. If you're in Chattanooga, come to one of our breathwork classes. If not, go on our YouTube. Erica does a lot of awesome breathwork videos that you can follow that you can really shift the energy within your body. It's another awesome tool. If you've ever tried meditating without using breathwork, try breathwork. It's much easier. It's really hard to just like close your eyes and be in a really zenned out state. With active breath work, it shifts and like moves the energy within you that your mind like literally doesn't have to be there. It's like your body's like, I got this. We're changing things up. But that's another great tool. But yeah, another way to just break the pattern, like do something different. Like literally, even if you take the same route to work, go a different route. If you get the same coffee at the same place, like go somewhere else or get a tea, like call someone that you haven't talked to in a minute. It's just, you know, like have different conversations. Just do something different, but you have to be aware, right? To even know that you have to do it. And be present with what you're feeling and then shift. Like, no, shit, like I gotta like not do what I'm basically, if I'm not happy with something, I gotta change it up. Like get out of that basically ASAP. If you're having a conversation with someone, obviously stay in there, but like just in general, if you find yourself stuck. Um, okay, this is one of my favorites too. This is an awesome tool. So I really don't buy in fully to like just be positive. It's all good. Like that doesn't work. Like straight up, that doesn't work. All that that happens is like you maybe lie to yourself and like stuff is still getting stored, but like everything's fine. And then eventually it'll come out. So I like to find that balance of like, okay, I feel something. I don't want to get stuck, but I want to honor where I'm at, but I want to shift, right? I want to shift and move it. So, like if you're depressed, I find what keeps you down there is you're like, oh, I wish I was joyful right now. I wish I was blissed out. That is so much like of a gap that it's so overwhelming that sometimes you stay down here longer because you're expecting to have that contrasting feeling rather, right? Rather than feel, be real with what you feel. It's okay. You're okay to feel that emotion. What can I do to shift just a little bit? And so there's this thing called the emotional guidance scale. I love this. I love this thing so much. We have this printed out in our house. Um, and so I'm gonna walk through this. So basically, how you use this is you acknowledge whatever emotion you have, you acknowledge where you're at, and you find where you're at, and you just try and shift, and you keep going until you legit feel a higher emotion, even if it's just one level. Um, but all of these emotions have a certain vibrational frequency. Obviously, the lowest one is fear, depression, grief, powerlessness. And again, no judgment on any of this. This is just to acknowledge where you're at and try and shift. Low vibration. So if we can just go from here to here, we're moving in the right direction, right? We're just making those tiny shifts are really impactful. So I'm gonna go through an example. It's kind of silly, but I think it'll be helpful. This is how you use this chart. Okay, so I go to my ice cream shop and they don't have my favorite flavor of ice cream, and I'm angry. Okay, I'm down at anger. So follow me right at anger. So I'm like, oh, so mad. And I look at this and I was like, you know what? I'm angry. Like I'm gonna let myself feel anger. And I'm angry because they don't have my favorite flavor of ice cream. And you know what? I move up. I'm discouraged because you know I don't think they're ever gonna have it. I feel like this always happens, and like I'm just really discouraged right now because I don't feel like they're gonna have it. And you go up to blame. You know, I blame the manager. I mean, they probably messed up somehow on the back end. Like it's their fault, you know. And I worry, you know, I'm worried that they'll never have it. Like, am I ever gonna enjoy ice cream, my favorite ice cream there again? You know, and I doubt, go up to doubt, like I doubt that they're even ever gonna have it. And like I don't know, I just like I don't believe it. Like I doubt that I'm ever gonna be happy with this ice cream place. And really I'm just disappointed, right? I'm just disappointed. I really wanted some ice cream and my favorite one, and it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming because it's like I can't even have my favorite ice cream, you know? It's like, oh, I did I had a hard day. I was really looking forward to this. It's just overwhelming. And, you know, I'm irritated. I'm just so irritated. I just really wanted this. And then up to pessimism, you know, I'm never coming back here again. I bet they're never going to have my ice cream. And now, you know, I'm bored. Like, whatever. It's just ice cream. I'm bored at this point, and yeah, I'm content. Like, it's fine. Like, maybe I'll just go somewhere else for ice cream. I just won't do it. And heck, like I'm hopeful maybe later I'll try it. I'll try again, you know? And like going to hopefulness is like, that's where I'm at. I'm not going to be optimistic maybe that day. I'm just like, I'm hopeful. Right. So we see how we just kind of like, even if I went from anger to blame, that's still like moving in the right direction. But again, all of this just to show you of it's better to shift, even if it's a little bit, rather than stay and sit and spend time and train your nervous system to think we want to be angry all the time. Does that make sense? I hope. I practiced that example yesterday and I just couldn't stop laughing. Ice cream. Okay, the last one. So this is my favorite. This is so good. Okay, relax and release. I mean, even in the words, you get it. You feel it. Like relax, release. Again, if you know me, you've probably heard me say this quote a lot. I love this quote. If it's not happening on the outside, it's not happening on the inside. Basically, what that means is if I am not currently experiencing a stressful experience, I'm currently like that moment has passed. It's not going to continue to happen and replay on the inside. So, for example, I'm sitting down having coffee. Life's great. I see someone come and they come talk to me and they're just like really negative, or they're just really like they said things that really like irked me and even offended me, and it's like I'm feeling like WTF basically with that situation. And then they leave and I'm just like, what the heck was that? Right? Like, I'm just like sitting with it and I'm thinking about it and I'm just like, why did it? And I go on and on, but really the situation passed, right? The experience came in uncomfortable and then it passed. Now I'm just sitting here having coffee, listening to music, like reading a book. But am I choosing to let that experience go? Or am I like, oh, can you believe that girl? Like, I'm gonna tell my friends about this girl. I can't believe that happened. Or like, and you just go and go and go and go and go and go. And it's like, it's over. Again, I'm not like, oh, that didn't happen, but more like learning, interesting. Like that was an interesting interaction. Like I'm sure she's having a rough day, like whatever the case. But overall, like catching yourself of like, you know what, if it's not happening on the outside, it's not happening on the inside. And not in a form of avoiding, because when it is happening on the outside and it's uncomfortable on the inside, you still have to be present with it. Like we have to deal with these things, like we can't avoid it. But once the moment's passed, like legit, like it's passed, and maybe it needs to be picked up tomorrow, like because it's something in your life, you'll pick it up then. You'll feel it then. But right now, it's not happening on the inside. Oh, is that it? Oh, wait. There's a few more things. Oh no, don't look. Oh wow. Okay, here we go. Okay, and then don't continue making the same mistake of pushing things down. And a way that we do that is saying, I can't handle this. Okay, so imagine what that's happening. Experience coming in, we're like, I can't. That experience is still coming in. Okay, so even if it's uncomfortable, like shifting of like, I can handle this is so empowering. Even if like you're not sure that you can, but saying that I can handle this, now there's momentum with that, right? Like I can handle this. Like I got this. But every time we say I can't handle this, it goes down, it goes down, it goes down. So again, just a simple little shift there. And then the relaxing part, like literally anything that makes you go, right? Like whether that's like listening to a song or laying down, like anything that's going to help you relax, and just even telling yourself to relax. Like I know some people are like, oh yeah, like just relax. Coming from someone else is annoying, but if you tell yourself like, Lauren, relax and release, it's a practice, right? You can, like, it's possible to like loosen the shoulders and just relax. Okay, so overall, right, we feel good about this, like understanding. I wish there's I could come up with better words that had a better acronym. I'm not that creative. APS-R is like all I got. But I hope we can remember this. So awareness, presence, shift, relax, and release. So this is like, you have this now, like a tool of like when things happen, like I'm going to practice this. And again, here, there's no finish line. Like straight up, I'm practicing this on the daily. And it's just, I want you to have this information to like be able to tap into and dip into. Again, start small. Like if you have something really big, intense going on in your life, like this is going to be hard. Still practice it if you want, but like start on the small things. Like I pretty much all the examples I shared with you were like subtle, small examples, but those things really build up. Imagine if that's not taking real estate in your body and your mind, all these small things so that you can be more present with the bigger things. So we're almost done here. I'm like, I need to make this like a 5-hour thing, basically. Like every time I got going, I was like, I have so many ideas, but I just want to like give you as many like tools and value as I can, but just again, planting the seed of this. So I laid out the blueprint for when stress is happening. What's going to help us is what we're doing when stress isn't happening in our environments that are controlled, our home. When you schedule out your day, like what are you doing? What kind of deep work are you doing to help, get your body and your nervous system in a great place? And like a morning routine is a great way to do that. It's a great way to prime your nervous system. And I'll give you guys a little more on that in a little bit here, but and setting an intention. So if you don't do anything, like you don't need to do the like wake up at 4:30 a.m. and read a book and meditate and work out, like, but in general, like if anything in the morning, like it's so easy to set an intention. I had this theory the other day. I was listening to a podcast, and it was a podcast of comedians. And I'm like, every comedian I listen to, what do they say? Oh man, this one time I walked here and like something crazy happened, and like they could use it for their material, like for their shows. And I guarantee, I'm like, I bet they're going out in the world looking for material to use for their bits, like for their stand-up shows. And I'm like, I get, because they have just like the craziest stories, and like whether they're true or not, like something about it, like they're like the intention of like something's going to happen. And so if we're going out without an intention, and those people who are like just like crazy bad stuff happens to them all the time, it's not that they're intending for bad things to happen, but maybe they're kind of looking for it, or they're used to it, like on a deep subconscious level. But if we can prime our morning of like, you know what, I have an intention of how I want to be today. I want to be really, my intention today is to be really present. And then now you're going through your day like, oh, remember my intention not to be present. Like, it's just a great way to like, honestly, like, why not? Why not start the day with an intention? And what are you expecting to happen without having attachment? That's the big thing too. Like, just have an expectation. Like those comedians, like they probably expect to see something funny, and like they always do. Like they have stories that literally don't happen to me, but they're putting themselves out there with the tone of that. Again, just a theory. I'm just testing it on you guys, but I think there's something to that. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys. I hope this was helpful. If you want to, I'm just seeing these messages now. Ice cream is important. You're right, Cheryl. Okay, so like I said, I have some gifts for you guys. I just again want to thank you all so much for being here tonight, and I have felt so supported by my family, my friends, and to create and clients even, like to create this book, and so much has gone into it that I'm like so happy to share. And I wanted to not just like release the book, but give you guys some value on top of it. So again, I hope tonight was helpful. And if it was, I created a PDF summary of this blueprint. So it's even like a little bit more detail too, of just so you like can have something to refer back to. I think that's really, really important. And then that's for you guys. And then I also created a little morning routine that I will be sending to you next week because I want it to be really good. Like again, thanks mom. I want everything to be awesome. So it takes me a little bit longer to get things done. I really want it to be good. So I'll have a video of the central channel breathing for you to follow, and then a morning movement flow that I love to do, and some other, just a little, like, again, an invitation for you if you want to start your day with intention, a morning routine. But yeah, and then you guys live tonight, I'll be emailing you after this call. The 8 Healing Essentials is live. So I'll send that link to you guys with the link will have all of this information. And then just one more thing. I just wanted to announce here first, because I can only take a certain amount of clients, but I'm starting to do some coaching one-on-one. It's really just called upon my heart to do that. And I just wanted to open that up for people who are just wanting a little bit of extra support. So I'm going to announce that, like, for everyone, but I just want to share that here with you all first, as a thank you for being with me tonight. And yeah, I just want to share all of that. I'm just reading the notes here. Okay, so sweet. But yeah, thank you guys. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, feel free to hang out, and we can chat. Let me stop sharing the screen. But yeah, I just want to hang out here just for a minute. If anyone needs some clarification or has any questions. No, thank you guys. Oh. I hope this was helpful. I hope that you feel like you have a little bit more like tools in the toolbox. And again, I want to make sure you guys, like, I just want to give you all of this. It's basically the last 4 or 5 years of working with clients of, like, when they say, what else can I do? Now I have something to give. And yeah, I'm just like so grateful to be in this position to do that. So you guys are so sweet. Okay, the coaching, yeah, I'm gonna do just one-on-one style coaching. We'll get into the nitty-gritty. I feel that sometimes we have blind spots, and I can help with that. And like I said before, my whole intention is to empower you. And so I never want it to be like, I will never be someone who is like tells you what to do, but I hope to inspire something within you to create shifts and changes. And whenever you book a call with me, I'm going to send you some, like, a really thorough intake form, just so I have a good sense of where you're at, maybe what challenges you're going through, and then we can come up with a game plan. I feel like just sharing what's on your heart is really important, like, kind of, as I say often, like putting it on the table. And then we can come up with a game plan to help you move and shift through that, maybe even implement more of these things that we taught tonight. And then you guys should have my email as well. If you have any questions, feel free to email me too. But like I said, I'm gonna message a link for everyone that will have the book, the PDF, and a way to book a call with me if you want to do that. But yeah, any other questions? Thank you guys again so much. I really, like, I've been so excited, so excited. And I'll tell you this, like, this isn't just information that I read and I'm spitting back to you. Like, I've experienced this, and I've had to work through it, even like getting to a place to do this work, to do this call, to do everything. Like, I've had to really grow a lot. And like I said, I'm still learning. But I just think that I've found tools that work, and I just want to help you the best. Thank you, Myra, the best that I can. Yeah, so if you're local, we can totally plan to do the one-on-one in person, or even like the first one can be in person, and then maybe if it's more convenient, we can do calls. But I'm definitely open, even just like, could be something casual, even like grabbing some coffee. I'm totally down to do that. And then subsequent calls we can do over the phone if if that's needed. Oh, you guys are awesome. Thank you again so much. And again, this will be recorded. So I'll also maybe the next coming days give you a link to this if you ever want to just circle back and check in. But yeah, if there's any more questions, have a lovely night. Like, thank you guys so much. My heart is so warm. All right, thank you for coming. I hope this is helpful.